Unite Behind has been pushing this issue of state capture when it comes to PRASA and particularly Metro Rail here in Cape Town. We talk about corruption as this ethereal concept, but really it affects the people on the ground, and in this case people trying to eke out a living, trying to get to work.
Assalamu alaikum. Look, Lester, as we're standing here, the light is going down and the days are getting shorter. And if you're a woman or you're a learner on a train, you're panicking. You're wondering how you're going to get home. Just now, as I was coming up one of the Metro Rail WhatsApp groups, a train was just cancelled, and thousands of people get stranded every day. We've got so many people who've lost their jobs, people who've lost their lives. The other day, Ms. Shamiza Adib, who lost her son on the Southern Line. And these are all, the fact is our rail line is not working. It's in a crisis because money's been stolen. The state has been captured. This money's found its way into Jacob Zuma's pocket. It's found its way into Mackenzie Mabunda's pocket, Roy Moodley, Arthur Fraser, all these people. The money that was meant to ensure that there's safety on our trains, the money that was meant to ensure that there's signalling, the money that was meant to ensure that security guards are on the train, all that money has gone into the pockets of state capture and, of course, into European, French and other companies, into their pockets. So where we stand now is you've had 500 rail deaths in the last year. Thousands of people injured. You imagine just the damages bill to PRASA, never mind, and its insurance bill. You have copper theft, which we know is a huge problem around the world. But the fact is that it's clear that it's a syndicate operating. And at the moment, we have a PRASA rail executive, a chap called Ntura Swats, who is being investigated by the Hawks for stealing rail lines. So if you look at the way in which, when we talk state capture, we know it's the president's being stolen either by some family or another, and he's stolen cabinet members, put them in his pocket, stolen departments, stolen state-owned entities. But we had a transport minister who was really bad. We now have a new transport minister, Bladen Zimandia, and we hope that he will appoint a new board. If you look at the current PRASA board, it's headed by a judge, which is totally unacceptable. She's not a sitting judge. She's just been appointed from January, but she's officially now going to only take up a position in April. But she's helping the looters in PRASA, Justice Nana Makubele. It's totally unacceptable because in the end, helping someone like Mackenzie Mabunda of the S Group, he got 70 million rand directly into his pocket out of the corrupt locomotive deal. If you look at Siangena and that group of people, the entry and egress into our stations had to be fixed up. But what really happened there is that money found its way into Jacob Zuma's bank account. So the question for us is, we would like to see the Minister of Transport appoint a decent board. We would like to see that the CEO and management are changed. If you look at last Friday in court, the chair of the board tried to get a company's money paid out, and they won their order in the court because the chair of the board sabotaged PRASA's legal department. She sabotaged PRASA's legal department. What she essentially wanted is a 50 million rand payout to a company called, to the whole S Group companies, Mackenzie Mabunda's companies. So from where you and I sit, it's easy for us because I live in town, I walk all over. But if you're sitting in Mitchell's Plain or Manenberg and you have to travel to Belleville on a train, it's an absolute nightmare. And the cost of state capture is felt in the loss of lives, the loss of livelihoods.
Has corruption been so normalized, not only now amongst the chattering classes, within the media itself, that we don't see the actual cost, whether it be in a democratic dispensation or pre-94, that we don't really see that the real victims of this are poor South Africans?
Look, if you're looking at who's really affected here, it's black, African and coloured working class communities in the main. And some of the lower middle class communities from the northern suburbs and the southern suburbs were forced to use trains. So when it affects poor people, if it's the Guptas, the problem that we have, particularly with the media, is that it's singularized state capture around the Guptas. They've become the bad boys of state capture. And they are. Let's not escape that. But there's another network that's taken over PRASA. And because that network is stealing from the poorest, it doesn't make the same headlines. So if it's Eskom, it affects all of us, right? If it's a nuclear deal, it affects all of us. But it particularly affects the markets. Here, not getting your train affects in the foremost a learner who has to get to school from Langa to town. And that doesn't make the headlines.
Shukran there, Zackie Achmat there, putting a human face to the issue of corruption, state capture, saying it is majority the African working class who need to get to and from work and to and from school that are effectively sabotaged by when it comes to corruption within the state.